Hello everybody and welcome to Richmond TV's coverage of high school baseball here at Richmond High School. Today's game will feature those Richmond Blue Devils and the visiting Yale Bulldogs. Leading off for the Bulldogs will be number 1, Craig, the second baseman. First pitch is swung on and hit to shallow right, and it will be hauled in by Austin Cinda for the Blue Devils. And I'm Preston Trend on today's broadcast. Alongside me is Richmond baseball alum Pierce Trend. Pierce, it's great to have you in the booth today.
Oh, it's great to be back and watch these boys play again, Preston.
And Donnellan, the third baseman for Yale, will dig in. And he'll look at a first pitch strike from number 5, Matthew Skoriance.
That Matthew Skoriance has really come up as Richmond's ace this year so far.
And that he has. They've needed a senior in that rotation. They've got a couple seniors, actually, that'll rotate through, but Matt's established himself as the ace. And he's got a 2-0 count right now. Third pitch swung on and goes right past the pitcher's mound. Scooped up by the second baseman, Curtis Kaltz, who will flip over to first base. Easy play for the infield, and Yale has 2 down. That'll bring up the big man for Yale, number 18, Jared Ramsey, as we get a look at the Richmond bench. Ramsey is Yale's designated hitter for the day. First pitch from Skoriance is a little low and outside. Outside again for Skoriance. Looks like he's trying to work that outside part of the plate against the big guy. Big right-handed batter. Holds his bat over his shoulder. Swung on and a pop fly to the fence. And Austin Cinda will run out of room on that one. Count goes to 0-2. Check that. Count is 3-1 on Ramsey. Matt Skoriance will get himself a new baseball from today's home plate umpire as Ramsey digs in again. Swung on and liner to the shortstop. Scooped up by Chase Churchill, flipped over to first base, and that will be 3 down for the Bulldogs. So Yale will send 3 to the plate, and Richmond will record 3 outs, 0-0 heading into the bottom half of the first inning. And we're back for the bottom of the first inning here in Richmond. Toting the slab for the Bulldogs will be number 20, Toth. And leading off for Richmond will be number 2, Stephen Fenwick, the speedy center fielder for the Blue Devils. Cocks that green bat high over his left shoulder. And looks at a first pitch strike.
It's nice to have a fast leadoff lefty right there closer to first.
High and outside to Fenwick. Yes, Pierce, that is a good point. Let's look to see if Scott Evans decides to drop down the bunt with Fenwick, see if he can get his way on base playing a little small ball. The 1-1 pitch is swung on and grounded past the pitcher, and Fenwick will cruise into first base with a single.
Tough play right there. Just behind the pitcher, shortstop's got to run all the way in. The speedy lefty.
Yeah, with speed like that, that shortstop had no chance. That'll bring up the right fielder, number 22, Austin Cinda for the Blue Devils. One of 2 sophomores in Richmond's starting lineup, Austin Cinda. And Toth will check. Fenwick over there at first base. We'll keep an eye on him as Cinda shows bunt and pulls back for a called strike. Keep an eye on Fenwick, though, down there on first base. And again, Toth checking Fenwick over there. He doesn't like how much of a lead Fenwick's got. Low and outside. Fenwick takes off. And a perfect throw from Sanderson, the catcher, will strike Fenwick down, trying to steal second. Beautiful throw by the catcher. Great play by Craig, the second baseman. And it's 1 out for the Blue Devils. 0-1 count on Cinda. Outside again. As Cinda looks down the third base line to his head coach Scott Evans and gets the instructions for the at-bat. Strike down the middle makes it a 1-2 count on Cinda. That's a line shot into right field. Yale will field it on a hop, and Cinda cruises in with a single. So back-to-back singles for the Blue Devils here in the first inning. As Toth warms his hand for this next batter, he'll face the designated hitter for the Blue Devils, big number 3, Andrew Reed. Reed will dig in. First pitch is swung on and fouled back behind home plate, and it looks like they'll run out of space. Reed jumps on the first pitch, and it's now an 0-1 count. As we get a look at Austin Cinda standing on first base. Kind of a gray day here in Richmond. You can hear the wind blowing. It's blowing straight in from left field. A lot of cloud cover today. Right on the inside of the plate for a called strike makes it 0-2 on Reed. Came right up there by the elbows. Inside again has Reed jackknifing out of the way and claims he got hit on the elbow, but home plate umpire says, dig back in, son.
You don't want to hit that big boy.
No. 1-2 count on Reed. And there it is. You come inside 3 times in a row, and eventually you're going to get a little too far inside.
Got him right in the back there.
Right in the back, and I don't think that's a kid I would want to hit.
No, sir.
Probably the biggest guy there on Richmond's bench, and you peg him in the back. We'll see. That'll bring up the first baseman, number 12, Connor Margosian, as Curtis Kaltz comes in as a designated runner for Andrew Reed. Pitch gets away from Sanderson, and Cinda will advance to third base as Kaltz advances to second. So now we've got runners on second and third, 1 out here in the bottom of the first, and a 1-0 count on Connor Margosian. The senior delivered a big hit in last week's game against Marysville. The go-ahead single gave the Blue Devils the victory over the Vikings. Let's see if he can channel some of that here. A little bit of low and outside, runs the count to 2-0. Cinda's got a cautious lead over there at third. And a line shot into right field will drop. Cinda will come around. Reed will hustle around third base. Margosian cruises into first, and it's a 1 out, 2 RBI single for Connor Margosian.
That's just good baseball right there. Outside pitch, you take that away, you make sure that runner from third gets home.
Mm-hmm.
Just textbook.
That'll bring up the pitcher, number 5, Matt Skoriants. Strike on the outside part of the plate. Margosian is putting himself together a couple nice weeks of hitting. It's good to see him get involved in the offense. Skoriant swung on, and that's slicing towards the line in right, and it will carry out. That, like I said, that wind's blowing in straight from left, and I have a feeling it's carrying some of those balls over that foul pole. As we get a look at the banner in center field. 0-2 count on Skoriants. And that's a one-hopper to the third baseman. Margosian will be out at second. They turn it to first base, and Skoriants is safe. So he'll reach on a fielder's choice as Margosian is cut down at second. Checking in as a courtesy runner will be number 4, Patrick McCluskey. He's also got some wheels out there on the base paths. As number 3, Trevor Barrett checks in at the plate for Richmond. Inside has him scooting out of the way. Very upright stance for Barrett. Slight bend in the knees, bat high over that right shoulder. Swung on and grounded right to the pitcher. He'll flip to first and record the third out of the inning. But the Blue Devils strike first here in the first inning, hanging 2 on a Connor Margosian single. It is 2-0 Richmond heading into the second inning. Hey baseball fans, just a reminder, you can view Richmond TV programming on Comcast Channel 12 on Tuesdays at 8, Fridays at 5 and 9 p.m., Saturdays at 5 p.m., and Sundays at 7 p.m. As we start the top of the second inning, it'll be number 4, Snyder, the center fielder for Yale. And Matt Skoriants will go back to work for Richmond. He's got a 2-0 lead. Called strike on the outside part. Runs the count to 0-2 on Snyder. Foul ball looked like it caught catcher Max Farney either in the thigh or came back up and got him in the hamstring. He's a little ginger to get back down into his stance. Max is a tough kid, though. He'll just adjust that mask and get right back to work. 0-2 count on Snyder. Swung on, line to right field. And Austin Cinda will track it down in these, seems like hurricane force winds out here today. You get that ball up there in that jet stream, Pierce, and sometimes it doesn't end up where you think it will.
Oh, no.
That'll bring up the first baseman, number 16, Avery. Swung on that first pitch again, and that'll carry over the first base fence, foul.
A lot of these balls going out to right field off these right-handed batters, they're going to carry anyways, and then this wind just doesn't help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a pretty right-handed batter-loaded lineup for Yale. 0-2 count after a called second strike on Avery. Skoriance misses outside, runs the count to 1-2. Snyder swung on, scooped up by the third baseman Nettles, and he will fire over to first base for the out. Nice scoop there by the freshman third baseman, Devin Nettles, fielding that on the short hop. Like we said earlier, this Richmond lineup features 2 sophomores and 1 freshman in the everyday starting lineup, so quite a young team we've got here. As Sanderson, the catcher, will dig in for Yale. His first offering from Skoriance is a little bit low for ball 1. Called first strike on a nice curveball there from Skoriance.
He had the batter backing out of the box and dropped right in.
Comes right back with some heat for strike 2. Runs the count to 1-2 on Sanderson. Skoriance working from the stretch. And swinging third strike. Sanderson goes down. The Bulldogs go down in order on a fly ball, ground out, and strikeout. Richmond will maintain that 2-0 lead heading into the home half of the. And welcome back, everybody. Hey, just a reminder, you can view this broadcast and all of the other Richmond TV broadcasts on YouTube. If you go to Richmond TV 12 on YouTube, you can hit subscribe and instantly watch all of your Richmond TV programming. Leading off the second inning will be Chase Churchill. He hits a long fly ball out to right. And it will fall foul there. Chase is one of the 2 sophomores in this Richmond lineup. Not very often, Pierce, you see a sophomore at shortstop.
No, usually one of the most athletic kind of kids, you know, obviously. And then Chase is very good. I've seen his hands. Very good out there. He has great first steps. Coming off the bat, he reads it very well.
Lays down a bunt that will pop foul right away. Yeah, you talk about him being pretty athletic. Chase had a breakout year for the Blue Devils on the football field this fall. Stepping in after Trevor Barrett was hurt. Played an awesome bit of quarterback for the two big league games, and then one more out-of-league game as he hits a single there right between the shortstop and second baseman.
He went that
or third baseman, check that.
He went at that at back, just attacking right there. You could see the first hit he swung, or first pitch he swung at. Second one he tried to lay down a bunt. Third one he laces it through the infield.
Mm-hmm. So great at bat for Chase Churchill, puts him on first base as the catcher Max Farney comes up to the plate. Max is a senior. And Max shows bunt, drops it down right to the pitcher. That'll get Churchill to second on the sacrifice. So a little bit of small ball here from the Blue Devils right away in the second inning. As we get a look at the Blue Devils field, we see Chase Churchill out there on second base as the third baseman, Devin Nettles, digs in. And the freshman takes a called first strike. As Churchill has a great lead out there on second base. Nettles will fly out to right as Churchill takes off, and he will cruise into third base on the sacrifice fly. Nice piece of hitting there, though, for Nettles, getting that ball out to right field. So as Churchill stands on third base, Stephen Fenwick will come up for his second bat of the at-bat of the day. 1 for 1 today with a single. First offering from Toth is high for ball 1. Second pitch is swung on by Fenwick. Fly ball out to left, and Smesnik will haul that one in. The Blue Devils threaten but do not score here in the second inning. The score remains 2-0. Third. As we start the top of the third inning, we need to give a shout out to today's Richmond TV crew out there working hard in this very cold wind. We've got Anthony Borghese on one of the cameras, and we've also got Jason Robbins who's working a camera and will go back and produce today's show. Guys putting in a lot of work to bring you this Richmond TV broadcast. And it's back to the top of the order for the Bulldogs as Craig, the second baseman, looks at a ball 1. Second pitch is swung on. Out to left. Barrett will track that one down in the wind and send it into the infield. The Bulldogs have one down. That'll bring up Smesnik, the left fielder. First offering from Skorians is outside for ball 1. And second pitch is high for ball 2. Smesnik's got a real wide stance with the legs, feet really far apart, knees bent and kind of buckled in towards each other. And we get strike 1 on the inside part of the plate. The 2-1 pitch is swung on and missed. Runs the count to 2-2. Another right-handed batter for these Yale Bulldogs. Truly a righty-dominated lineup. Another high pitch will run the count to 3-2. So full count on Smesnik here with 1 out in the third. And Skorians misses outside. Smesnik will trot down to first base with a 1-out walk. You can just hear that wind rushing in from left field. You see the new Blue Devil uniforms blowing in the breeze. That's how you can tell it's really windy. As Cordelin will dig in for Yale. The shortstop, fancy that, another right-handed batter. First pitch is low and outside.
Now Skorians has to work from the stretch. He's got his first base runner.
Yes, that is Skorians' first base run. That's the first base runner Skorians has seen from Yale today. And he's paying quite a bit of attention to him with a toss over to first baseman Connor Margosian. Little pop fly will fall right behind the Yale dugout, out of play. Evens the count at 1-1. Corolden is the 9 hitter for Yale as we get a toss over to first base. Smesnik has been known to steal bases for the Bulldogs. And there he goes, and the throw will get away from shortstop Chase Churchill as Smesnik now stands on second base. As he'll dust himself off. We've got a 2-1 count on Corolden with 1 out here in the top of the 3rd. Swung on and missed. Count runs to 2-2. Smesnik will get himself a decent lead there out at second base. Line shot from Corolden will bounce in front of Austin Cinda. Plays it on the hop as Smesnik will round third base but trot on back. So now we've got runners on the corners for Yale. After a walk and a single from the bottom part of the order, that'll bring up the second baseman, number 1, Craig. Craig flew out in his first at-bat to right field. Now he's got himself a chance to put Yale on the board and possibly tie this game up. As we hear Coach Scott Evans adjusting his outfielders for this, what could be a key at-bat in the game. Swung on and fouled straight back. So what do you do if you're Yale here, Pierce? What are we looking for here?
You're looking for runs, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to get them? I don't know. Depends on if you can make contact as a batter. You got to get that ball over to that right side of the field there. Keep it on the first base side.
And you'd expect with your leadoff hitter that you'd be able to get some contact out of him.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, time called very late by Craig. The pitch actually went 2 across the plate, but won't count.
Scoriance is being very careful. You can tell he's checking. He's got that first and third.
As he throws over to first base, ball got away from Connor Rogosian, but no harm, no foul there.
He's trying not to give up that easy steal to second there.
Would you possibly look for an out off of that if they tried to get greedy out there at first base?
Hard to say. If you think Yale's going to score, I think you cut it off with like your second baseman, which is what Scotty usually will do. He'll have the second baseman run in, cut that off if he thinks he can get the out at third.
Gotcha. So we got an 0-2 count on Craig. Scoring on steals, and it's low and outside. Still got runners on the corners, though. You'd think Yale would have that first base runner in motion at this point. And it's lined on and
fair.
Hit right inside of the line for a fair ball. It'll be fielded by Trevor Barrett and tossed in. Yale gets 1 on the Craig single to left. Makes the score 2-1 in favor of the Blue Devils. And now we've got runners on first and second. So we were both thinking he'd go to right field. Ends up pulling one to left just inside. That was about a baseball's width inside of the foul line. And that'll bring up Donnellan, the third baseman for Yale.
They're one lefty.
Yes, the one lefty in this lineup. And he will pop one up to left field. It's fielded by Trevor Barrett on a hop. tossed in, and everyone's safe, loading the bases for Yale. So now Matt Skoriance has got himself in a little bit of a one-out jam here in the third. Blue Devils still leading 2-1, but now we've got bases loaded and one out. And you've got bases loaded, one out, and here comes the big man, the designated hitter, Jared Ramsey.
Yeah, you can hear Evans yelling. If it goes to the corners, he wants him going home. So first or third basemen are going home for that out at home.
First pitch is ripped right down the line by Ramsey.
One run.
Corlin will score. Craig will score from second. Donnellan will move himself up 1 to second, and Jared Ramsey deals a two RBI single for the Bulldogs, giving them a 3-2 lead. Second pitch we've seen, just about a baseball's width inside of that foul line and left. As Matt Skoriance gets a little bit of encouragement from his infield. Probably telling him, shake that one off. We'll get these next 2 outs for you. That'll bring up the number 4 hitter, number 4, Snyder, who's the center fielder for Yale. Snyder had a pop out in his first at bat, so he is 0-1 on the day. Runners on first and second for Yale, 1 out. And a swinging first strike. Skoriance is ahead, 0-1. As we get a look at Donnellan down there on second base. Pretty conservative lead. Just outside. Evens the count at 1-1. Donnellan, not a huge base stealing threat for the Bulldogs. Gets himself a conservative lead out there. And Skoriance will check him as they snuck Curtis Carlson right there behind him. And Snyder will fly. Fly ball looked like it was caught by number 12, Connor Margosian. Nice play by Connor down there right in front of the fence, in front of the Yale bench.
Surprising it didn't go out with all this wind going on out there.
I know, we've been talking about that wind. We finally get one to stay in the park. As Avery, number 16, will dig in for Yale. First pitch from Skoriance is a little bit low. Count goes to 0-1. So now we've got 2 outs, runners on first and second here for Yale. And it's swung on, hit to right, and Austin Cinda will track that one down and glove it for out number 3. So, a big 2 RBI single for Jared Ramsey gives Yale the 3-2 lead heading into the home half of the third inning here at Richmond High School. Hello everybody and welcome back to Richmond TV's coverage of high school BWAC baseball here at Richmond High School as the Blue Devils host the Yale Bulldogs. A big 2 RBI single for Jared Ramsey gave Yale a 3-2 lead heading into this bottom half of the third, which will feature the top of Richmond's lineup, leading off with number 2, Stephen Fenwick. Check that, it will be number 22, Austin Cinda, who is the right fielder for Richmond. So Cinda will lead off, and he's been busy out there in right field with all this wind. He's had quite a few fielding opportunities. Knees bent. Holds that bat over the right shoulder for a called first strike. The big right fielder for Richmond. Swung on, grounded to the second baseman, and the play over at first base is dropped. Looked like it was going to be a tough play for Avery to make there at first base, and looks like the ball is just a little too low. Goes in and out of the glove, and Cinda is safe. So, Pierce, do you score that one as an error or a single?
That's an error. I think the first baseman tried to get it as it was hitting the ground. You gotta decide to get it before it hits the ground, or you gotta wait for that bounce and swoop it.
All right. We'll see what they put it down in the official scorebooks as. In the meantime, we've got Andrew Reed digging in. The big man was hit last time by the pitch. He'll lay down the bunt and move Cinda up to second base.
Evans is really pushing that run right there. He wants this game tied back up.
And they say that's the biggest thing in baseball is after a team has a big inning, you got to come right back and score and steal that momentum back.
Does a good job getting the runner right in scoring position right off the bat.
So with one out, the first baseman, Connor Margosian, will dig in. Connor is 1-1 today. He had a 2 RBI single his first at-bat. And he's got a chance to do some damage here as well with a runner in scoring position. Inside runs the count to 1-1. As we get a look at Cinda out there on second base. He'll get himself a nice lead. One pitch is high for ball 2. We'll keep an eye on Cinda out there. Evans is, like you said, determined to get this run across right away. Not going to waste any time. Low. Delivery is a little low. That'll run the count to 3-1. Now Margosian's got himself a great hitter's count. He's got a runner on second base, a 3-1 count. Toth has got to be careful here. He can't just put one right down the pipe. And he'll miss low and away. So Connor Margosian reaches on a walk. That'll put runners at first and second for Richmond. As we get a look at Matt Skoriance, who will dig in. Skoriance had to work there in the third inning. Finally got some traffic on the base paths. Thankfully, though, he had some defense behind him to get him out of that one. Could have been a lot worse. The Bulldogs left 2 on base in the third. So now Skoriance will have a chance to get some of those runs back for the Blue Devils.
Bulldogs coach came out for a little chat with his infield and his pitcher there. See how he's going to attack this first and second runners.
Upright stance for Skoriance as he looks at ball 1. So we got Skoriance at the plate, Cinda on second, and Connor Margosian on first. Ball low and away. Skoriance has got a 2-0 count now. Matt Skoriance, a very patient hitter. He's not going to chase those pitches out of the zone. Just on the outside part of the plate. 2-1 now, the count on the Blue Devil pitcher, Matt Skoriance. A lot of chatter from both benches at this key at bat. And Skoriance rips one to the gap between center and right. He's being waved around second. Cinda will get waved around third. And he got in just underneath the throw. You didn't see that throw coming in from the outfield, but it came in high, and Cinda was able to sneak that toe over on the plate. And he will even the game up at 3 apiece as Matt Skoriance drives in an RBI double. Big piece of hitting for Matt Skoriance. Put it right there in the gap. But a strong throw there by the Yale right fielder makes that an interesting play at the plate. As we look at Trevor Barrett stepping into the box for the Blue Devils. Trevor grounded out his first at-bat. You see Scott Evans there on third base shouting instructions to his runners. He's got a courtesy runner in Patrick McCluskey out there at second and Connor Margosian on third. As Trevor looks at ball one. Gets some instructions from his coach. Curveball caught the outside part of the plate.
Coach Evans there running through the signs.
Very animated there on the third base line.
Oh, yes, he always was. Back check.
Bounces. Toth will bounce that one in there. And they throw down to third, but Margosian will cruise back in safely. I think Evans wanted him to slide there. I think that's what that gesture was. As Barrett digs in. Toth bounces another one in there. And Barrett will get himself a walk. So the walk loads the bases for Richmond here with one out in the third.
Brings up that talented shortstop of Richmond, number 9, Chase Churchill.
Number 9. And we get another conference from Yale on the mound. It looks
That's a change.
like a pitching change. So it looks like Toth's day is done. After 3 earned runs, he's also responsible for the 3 runs on base. As Chase Churchill will get a nice up-close and personal conversation with his head coach. No way you can miss the sign there, Pierce.
I would sure hope not.
So we've got a 3-3 score here in the third inning as we wait to see who the new Yale pitcher will be. So while we wait for him to warm up, we get a shot of the Richmond bench over there. Like we said, an interesting mix of youth and experience on this team. You've got 2 sophomores and a freshman in your starting lineup. But then you look through, you've got a senior in Fenwick, a senior in Reed, a senior in Margosian, Skoriance, Barrett, and Farney are all seniors. So 3 underclassmen and 3 seniors. And then you mix in the 2 juniors as your courtesy runners. Shows the depth of this Richmond program, being able to plug the younger kids in just like that.
Very nice, very versatile. Keeps them younger.
You're able to extend the success because you don't have the big turnovers of having to train a whole new lineup. You're just able to keep mixing kids in those other positions as seniors graduate. So, like we said before, you can watch these Richmond TV broadcasts on Comcast Channel 12. You can also check them out on YouTube. The channel is Richmond TV and the number 2. You can hit subscribe and be updated on all the broadcast, whether it's baseball, football, wrestling, school board meetings, and a whole bunch of other community events. Richmond TV is your choice for coverage. So back to baseball now. We've got bases loaded, 1 out here in the third, as shortstop Chase Churchill will dig in for Richmond. The new pitcher for Yale is number 9, Corolden. And first pitch is a strike. So Yale will trotted their shortstop into the pitcher's mound, and he inherits a bases loaded 1-out jam. As Churchill asks for time.
Very confident up there in the batter's box, Churchill looks.
And that's tough to do coming into a situation like this. Your team's tied, bases loaded, they're looking for a hit.
And there's the balk.
And that was a balk. So Margosian will come in, and all the runners will advance 1 base. As Yale's coach will get verification from the umpire. Man, that's a tough thing to do. Come in as a new pitcher. You've been out in the field all the rest of the game. It's cold. You inherit that jam. And you just can't make mistakes like a balk like that.
Just tough, though. It's very nerve-wracking coming in with the bases loaded. Suicide squeeze.
And they look to squeeze it. Churchill could have got another 1/4 inch of the ball, and I think that one would have went in. And McCluskey was pretty much on top of home plate by then. Some serious wheels out there on the base paths. So we'll do it again. Swung on and pops down the line and right. And it will fall about a foot inside the right field line. That'll allow McCluskey to come around and score. They'll hold the runner at second, and Chase Churchill drives in another run for the Blue Devils, giving them a 4-3 lead as McCluskey receives high fives from his bench.
Oh, those were some low fives.
Low fives, I'm sorry, yes, low fives. Those are some real low fives.
I was in the dugout the other day watching them, and they try to see how low they can get. It's pretty fun watching them.
Baseball players are a different breed, aren't they?
No comment.
As we watch Max Farney step up to the plate, he's got an 0-1 count. Knees bent. Looks at strike 2 now. Seems like Toth has settled down a little bit there on the mound. Trevor Barrett out there on second base. And Corolden's pitch is low and away. Blue Devils looking for a couple more runs here in this third inning. 1 out. Farney takes that one, puts it right into the gap. Throw from the shortstop is not in time. Max Farney put that right in the gap between the third baseman and the shortstop. Throw from Yale just wasn't strong enough as Max was able to beat out the throw. So 1 out. 4-3 score, bases loaded, and it will be Devin Nettles digging in for Richmond.
As it sounds like that wind picks up again.
It just doesn't seem like baseball season right now. If you were watching this game, you'd think it would be in mid-October. Coach Evans giving the signs to his young third baseman at the plate.
As he told third baseman, Mr. Devin Nettles there, he was doing everything he should do on the first pitch there. He just rushed it. He lunged at it.
Second pitch is a little bit high, swinging strike 2. Coach Evans tells him to reset his brain.
Just press the reset button. Easy as that.
So it'll be an 0-2 count for Nettles. And swings through strike 3. Carolden's got his first strikeout of the game for Yale. So as Nettles goes down on strikes, that'll bring us back to the top of the order with number 2, Stefan Fenwick. Fenwick is 1-1 today with a single and a fly out. First pitch is a little inside. As we get a look at Trevor Barrett standing on third base, we've got bases loaded for the Blue Devils here in the bottom of the third. Carolden working from the windup now. Fenwick ground out up the middle, scooped up by the shortstop, and that will end the threat for the Blue Devils. But they get 3 back on RBIs from Skoriance, and Churchill gives them a 5-3 lead.
And that balk.
And the balk brought across one as well. So as we begin the 4th inning, the Blue Devils will carry in a 5-3 lead here at Richmond High School. You see all the jackets out there in the Richmond dugout. Everybody's bundled up in layers on a cold April day here in Richmond. Windy, bunch of clouds. Hardly feels like it's baseball season. But we're playing nonetheless. Leading off the 4th inning for Yale will be their catcher, number 5, Mr. Sanderson. He is 0 for 1 today. Went down swinging on Skoriance's only strikeout of the game. As he digs in, holds that bat high over the right shoulder. Strike down the middle for Skoriance. Upright stance for Sanderson. Grounded right to the first baseman. Connor Margosian says, "It's all good, Matt. I've got it myself." And they'll throw it around the infield after the first out. So with 1 out in the 4th, that'll bring up the center fielder, number 11, Weston. Inside's got him twisting out of the way.
He's got a nice curveball out there. He's got them all ducking.
Now outside for ball 2. Count is 0-2 on Weston. Yeah, it looks like that curveball's got a little bit of swing back action on it.
I bet you that wind's helping it out too.
Just a bit. Little 2-hopper to the third baseman, Devin Nettles. Tosses over to first base, and Weston is down. 2 down for the Bulldogs. Yeah, that wind seems to be helping everything but our camera guys out there. Smesnik digs in and swings through strike one. Smesnik was walked in his first at-bat as he looks at ball one, evening the count at 1-1. Received a walk in that first inning and came around to score in that little bit of a rally the Bulldogs had. Called second strike, makes the count 1-2. Called third strike. Skoriance rings them up, and the Bulldogs are down. So after a big rally in the third, the Bulldogs go down in order in the fourth. Score remains Richmond 5, Yale 3. And we're back for the home half of the fourth inning here at Richmond High School. Blue Devils still lead 5-3. And it will be Austin Cinda leading off the inning for the Blue Devils. The big right fielder is 2-2 on the day with 2 singles. As Carolden goes back to work for Yale on the mound. Delivers strike one to Cinda. And Cinda swings through strike two.
Down early in the count.
Coach Evans telling him to work himself back into this count, 1 pitch at a time. And gets a piece of that one. You saw Sanderson behind the plate for Yale come up out of his crouch. They wanted that pitch way up high on Cinda.
He's a tall guy, though.
Yeah. Sanderson could stand all the way up, and that glove's still at chest level. Came up high again, and Cinda swings through for strike three. First strikeout of the game for Carolden. Check that. That is his second strikeout. That'll bring up the designated hitter, Andrew Reed, for Richmond. Upright stance, bat high over that right shoulder. Swung on and fouled straight back to the screen. Tad late on that pitch. So he'll dig in with an 0-1 count. Here with 1 out in the fourth inning. Inside again on Andrew Reed, has him scooting backwards. I think at this point he's had about enough with the inside pitching from Yale. Count is 1-1. And outside now. Count goes to 2-1. And swung on and drove out to center, where Weston will track that one down and glove it for the second out of the inning. So with 2 outs here in the fourth inning, it'll be Mr. Connor Margosian stepping to the plate for Richmond. The first baseman is 1-1 today with a 2 RBI single and a walk. Connor's walk in the third inning was a big part of the Blue Devils having that big rally. Kept the inning alive. Came around to score a couple batters later as he looks at strike one. Strike two right there on the inside part of the plate. So after a walk in that third inning, Carolden's really settled himself down and gone to work here on the mound for Yale. And as soon as I say that, one gets away a little high and inside. So Margosian will dig in. Swung on and popped foul straight back over the first base line into the stands. Count is now 2-2 on Margosian. Sanderson calling for this one up high. Comes out of his crouch. And the pitch misses just high. Second batter we've seen this inning where Sanderson comes out of his crouch real early for a high pitch. As Margosian hits a grounder right at the second baseman, he'll flip over to first. And with that, the Devils are down 1-2-3. Hey, again, you can catch this broadcast and all Richmond TV broadcasts on the YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, search Richmond TV and the number 2. All the Richmond TV broadcasts will be featured there on YouTube. And welcome back for the 5th inning here at Richmond High School. The Blue Devils still lead 5-3 after going down in order in the bottom of the 4th. So the shortstop, now turned pitcher for today's game for Yale, Carolden, will dig in for the Bulldogs. First pitch is a strike from Skoriance.
That curveball again gets him.
It seems like it just gets to the plate and stops, speed-wise. Little low, evens the count at 1-1. Fastball hums in there for a strike. Count is now 1-2 on Carolden. Swinging third strike. Got a little bit of it, but not enough. Max Farney will glove it, and it's a strikeout for Skoriance. That's his 3rd strikeout of the game. So we're back to the top of the order. It'll be Craig, the second baseman for Yale. Craig is 1-2 on the day. A single and a flyout. As the first pitch misses low for Skoriance. Fastball in there for a strike. Count is even at 1-1. Skoriance working from the windup. Swinging second strike. Count is 1-2. Got away from him a little bit, bounces across home plate. Craig was a big part of that 3rd inning for the Bulldogs. His single had an RBI attached to it, and he came around to score a little bit later. Swings and drives one to right as goes over the head of Trevor Barrett. And Craig will cruise into second base with a double. Looked like Barrett had a beat on it, and it just carried right over his head.
It's kind of odd with all this wind. Again, with the wind.
Yes, we keep referring back to that wind. And you'd expect it would knock a ball down like that, too. And I think Trevor Barrett was planning on a little bit of that knockdown action, but it didn't come.
Craig had it on a nice tight line.
So Donnellan will dig in as he scoots out of the way of an inside ball 1. We'll keep our eyes on Craig down there at second base. Pretty aggressive lead. Donnellan, a little grounder to first base. Connor Margosian will scoop, take it himself, and stare down that runner at third. So with the sacrifice, Donnellan moves the runner to third base, and that'll bring up our buddy Jared Ramsey. Jared is 1 for 2 on the day with a 2 RBI single. So Ramsey will work with 2 outs here in the 5th, and he's got himself a runner on third. This is a very important at-bat for the Bulldogs if they want to try and get back into this game. You can't waste that runner at third base. Nice strike 1 fastball by Skorians. So what do you expect Yale to do here with the big guy, Pierce?
They let him hit. You got to let your big guy hit. I mean, you got 2 outs. You can't force him to bunt.
Very true. Defensively, what do you do if you're Richmond here? Pitching-wise or defensive-wise, what do you do?
Oh, defensive-wise, you get the out, obviously. But other than that, you basically play it normal. Because if it gets past your infield, I mean, the guy from third's obviously going to score anyways, and then you just want to limit your batter's bases.
Gotcha. So Ramsey swings through strike 2 as he calls for time to clean his hands off. We'll dig back in. Craig down there at third base. Gets himself another step for a lead. Delivery's high from Skorians. Runs the count to 2-2 on Jared Ramsey. Key at bat here for both teams. Ball is grounded right at the third baseman, Devin Nettles. He will make a strong throw to first base, and Jared Ramsey is out. So are the Bulldogs. Score remains Richmond 5, Yale 3, halfway through the 5th inning here at Richmond High School. Again, you can check out these broadcasts from Richmond TV on YouTube at the channel Richmond TV and the number 12. That's Richmond TV 12 on YouTube. Welcome back to Richmond TV's broadcast of high school baseball from Richmond High School. Yale Bulldogs trail Richmond 3-5 as Matthew Skorians will dig in for his third at-bat of the day. First pitch is way high and outside. That'll go right back to the screen. Skorians is 1-1 on the day with a fielder's choice in the first inning and a huge RBI double in the third. Tied the game up at the time. Second pitch is high as well. Count now 2-0 on Skorians. Inside again, has him twisting out of the way. He's now got himself a 3-0 count. As we hear that wind, that wicked wind we've been talking about, pick up today. High and inside, Skorians will twist out of the way, toss his bat, and trot his way down to first base. Leadoff walk for the Blue Devils. As we see number 4, Patrick McCluskey, come in as a courtesy runner for the pitcher. It's one of the big differences between the high school game and the pro game is you're allowed that courtesy runner for your pitcher and as well one for the catcher. Helps to keep kids from getting hurt as well as speed the game up a little bit. Allows your catcher to go back and get his pads on. As McCluskey slides in over under a nice throw from Carolden. The man at the plate for the Blue Devils is number 8, Trevor Barrett. Shows bunt and lays it down right down the first base line where it will sit, be scooped up by the catcher. And Trevor Barrett is the first out of the inning with a sacrifice bunt. Moves McCluskey to second base. So with 1 out in the 5th, it'll be number 9, Chase Churchill at the plate. Churchill is 2 for 2 today with 2 singles, one of them being an RBI in the 3rd. And looks at strike 1. As Patrick McCluskey works his lead over there on second base. Churchill swings through and fouls it right over the screen. Count now 0-2 on Chase. They're giving McCluskey a lot of real estate out there to work his lead at second base. As Churchill calls for time.
McCluskey's kind of cautious with his lead right now because that umpire's in the way, actually. It's kind of interesting. When you're out there, you can ask the umpire to move, but a lot of kids won't. You can see him peeking around the umpire.
And Chase Churchill swings on that 0-2 pitch, pops it right up to the mound. Carolden will field it right on the bottom part of the mound, and Churchill is down with the second out of the inning. And you can see it from up here. That's interesting you say that because it would look like that umpire is right in the way of that base runner's view to the plate.
Yeah, so then it's up to the base runner whether they want to go on, well, from our view, the right side of the umpire and stay closer to the bag or get a commanding lead and go on the other side.
And the first offering to Farney bounces across the plate for ball 1. And you see, as we watch this action on the base paths with McCluskey, you see they've got that shortstop way out there. They're not going to try and play that runner with the shortstop. One 1-0 pitch is a strike to Farney. Max is 1-1 on the day with a single and then grounded into a fielder's choice in the second inning. And he's twisting out of the way. Ball goes all the way back to the backstop, allowing McCluskey to advance to third. So after all that jostling and talking about leads at second base, he advances on a pass ball. And Farney will dig in. Pitch is outside. And Farney will walk down to first base. He's got himself a walk. Nope, just kidding. That was only his third ball. That one was low. Now he will trot down to first base. And we can hear Coach Evans calling for a courtesy runner for his catcher.
Gonna let Max go back and get all those pads back on.
Mm-hmm. On a day like this, it'd be nice. It's kind of warm.
Yes, yes.
So after the Farney walk, Devin Nettles will dig in at the plate. The freshman third baseman's got runners on the corners. First pitch is a strike to Nettles. Two outs here in the bottom of the fifth. Ground ball, fielded by the second baseman. Over to first, and that will be the third out of the inning for the Blue Devils. After 5 innings of play, the score remains Richmond 5, Yale 3 here at Richmond High School. And welcome back for the top of the 6th inning here at Richmond High School. Matt Skoriance will go back to work on the mound for the Blue Devils. He has pitched 5 strong innings. First batter he'll face in the 6th is Snyder, the center fielder, who swings on the first pitch. Short hop to the shortstop and a toss over to first base. 1 up, 1 down for the Bulldogs.
I thought it was funny there. You can tell it's cold out there before the inning. Churchill was jumping up and down behind Skoriance there.
Trying to keep those legs warm. And good thing he did. He made a solid play out there at short. The ground out will bring up Avery, the first baseman. He is 0-2 on the day for Yale. As Max Farney trots out to the mound, have a little conversation with his pitcher. Talk about how they're going to attack the number 5 hitter for Yale. Fastball for a strike. That one just misses outside. Avery, part of this right-handed hitting lineup for Yale. Swung on and popped foul, out of play down the first base line. Count is 1-2 on Avery. Driven in the air, down the line, right by the fence, and it looks like Connor Margosian will have enough room to make the play for the second out of the inning. Nice play along the fence there by the senior first baseman. As Sanderson steps in the box for Richmond, check that Yale. Nice strike there on the outside corner for Skoriance.
Skoriance very commanding on the mound so far today.
Swinging strike 2. Yeah, after 5 strong innings of work in this cold, he doesn't seem to have lost anything there. Curveball rings him up. Sanderson goes down on strikes, and the Bulldogs go down in order once again. And we're back at Richmond High School. All that hooting and hollering over on the Richmond bench is because they lead the Yale Bulldogs 5-3 in today's BWAC baseball matchup. Leading off the 6th inning for Richmond will be the center fielder, Mr. Stephen Fenwick. First pitch is a little low and inside. Fenwick is 1-2 on the day. He had a single in the first inning, but then was caught stealing at second base. Works with a 1-0 count. Second pitch is a strike as the ball squirts away from the catcher. 1-1 count on Fenwick. One pitch is a strike on the outside part of the plate. Senior center fielder showed off his wheels on that hit in the first inning. And he's got a ground ball right at the shortstop. Close play at first, and he's out. Talked about those wheels, just wasn't enough on that one, but that ball was smoked right at the shortstop. That really shows the speed there, Pierce, with a ball hit right at the shortstop. Still an interesting play down at first base.
Yeah, really puts it into perspective. He places that ball anywhere where someone's got to take a half second more, he's there.
Mm-hmm. That'll bring up the right fielder, Austin Cinda. Cinda looks at a ball low and away. He is 2 for 3 on the day with 2 singles and a strikeout. One 1-0 pitch is inside for ball 2. Strike on the outside part of the plate brings the count to 2-1 on Austin Cinda, the big right-handed hitting right fielder for the Blue Devils. Ooh, just low. You can tell the patience in this sophomore at the plate. Taking a pitch like that's got to be pretty tough. Brings the count to 3-1 though. Ooh, way up high. Looked like it got him in the arm. Big guy's going to shake that one off and just trot down to first base. Getting some advice from his teammates not to rub that one. Is there any truth to that myth there, Pierce? Not rubbing when you get hit by a pitch? Does it really help?
Well, when we played, we always said rub some dirt on it, so ours is completely opposite.
Oh, okay. Maybe these kids are just a lot tougher. They don't rub it at all. Speaking of getting hit by a pitch, that brings up Andrew Reed, who was hit by a pitch in the first inning and had a sacrifice in his second at-bat before flying out in his third at-bat. Buzzes him inside, has him leaning out of the way. So we talk about the big guy being 1-2 on the day with that sacrifice. Swings through Cinda down to second, and he is under the tag, safe at second base. Looks like the throw actually beat him. He just slid right under it. Two-0 count on Reed. Now he's got a runner in scoring position at second base. We got a little conversation between our umpires and the pitcher.
Home plate umpire was just asking to make sure he swung. Reed's swing was not very convincing.
So it was a swing. Brings the count to 1-1 instead of 2-0 now. Swings through a high pitch, gets a piece of it, but count goes to 1-2 on Andrew Reed. Knees slightly bent, holds that bat high over the right shoulder. 1-2 pitch is high for ball 2. Starting to get cold here at Richmond High School. You see Andrew Reed taking a second to blow some warm air into his hands before he steps back in his 4th at-bat. And ball low. Count is now full on the Richmond designated hitter. We've got 1 out here in the 6th with a runner on second base. Swung on and popped foul over the visitors' dugout. And we'll do it all again with a full count. Carolden was called on in the 3rd inning for Yale. Andrew Reed grounds that one to the shortstop. He'll scoop it on a hop and toss over to first base for the 2nd out of the inning. But it gets the runner to 3rd now. We've got 2 outs and a runner on 3rd in Austin Cinda. And that'll bring up the first baseman, number 12, Connor Margosian. Connor is 1 for 2 on the day with a 2 RBI single in the 1st and a ground out in the 4th. He also added a walk there in that long 3rd inning by the Blue Devils. First pitch is a strike.
Cinda draws some attention there at 3rd from the catcher. Making sure he gets back to 3rd in time.
He gets himself a healthy lead there at 3rd base. As the pitch goes inside on Margosian, count is 1-1. One advantage to having a right-handed batter in this situation is it makes the catcher, forces the catcher to throw around him down to 3rd base. As the 1-1 pitch goes low, and Sanderson will ask for time to go have a little conversation with his pitcher. But we talk about clutch hitting with Connor Margosian. We talk back to that Marysville game where he had the game-winning walk-off hit. We talk about his 2 RBI single in the 1st inning, hoping he can channel some of that here for the Blue Devils and they can extend this lead late in the game against Yale. 2-1 pitch is outside. Very patient at the plate here with 2 outs. Swung on and popped up behind home plate, and it will carry out of play. Full count on Connor Margosian now. The senior digs in. Carolden working from the windup. And it's on the ground to 3rd, and the 3rd baseman will have trouble playing that one as Connor Margosian's able to make his way down to first base. You had to think the runner in 3rd, at 3rd, played into that fielding play right there, Pierce.
Oh, yeah, of course. He's worried if he could possibly get him at home, that he was going to try for it. Just ran out of time and lost track of the ball.
Do you think he would have had a chance on making the play on Cinda at home?
I don't know. Actually, what I was wondering, or what I was thinking, is that the ball was very close to the line, which makes the runner obstacle to throw around right there in that situation. So if your catcher doesn't get in front of home plate, you got a tough target to hit.
Gotcha. So Margosian will get on with, we'll call it a single. That would have been a tough throw to make on a slow grounder, as we see a courtesy runner come in for the Blue Devils in number 4, Patrick McCluskey. And it's our pitcher, number 5, Matt Skoriance, at the plate. Score is 1-1 on the day with an RBI double and a walk. His RBI actually tied the game at 3. Carolden knows to keep an eye on McCluskey down there at first base with those wheels. Low and outside. Runs a count to 2-0 on Skoriance. Two outs here in the 6th. High brings the count to 3-0. .3-0 count with 2 outs. You look to see if Coach Evans will give him the green light. We'll see here in this pitch. He looked at it, but he'll take a called strike 1. Count is 3-1 on Skoriance now. Swung on and popped, foul down the fence, and that one will carry out of play. That'll make it a full count now on Matt Skoriance. Slight bend in the knees. And twists out of the way of that one. Inside for ball 4. Skoriance will trot down to first as McCluskey makes his way to second. So now we've got runners on first and second. 2 outs here in the 6th as the left fielder Trevor Barrett will come to the plate for Richmond. First pitch is a strike. Trevor is 0-2 on the day, but does have a walk in that 3rd inning. Trevor looks at strike 2. You can hear Coach Evans and see Patrick McCluskey working a very aggressive lead out there at second base. So we've got an 0-2 count, 2 outs. And it's swung on and missed. Barrett will go down on strikes, and the Blue Devils are down here in the 6th, but they lead 5-3. And as we start the 7th inning here at Richmond High School, we got to give a shout out to our crew here at Richmond TV, working hard out in this cold, windy April day. On the cameras, we've got Anthony Borghese and Jason Robbins. Jason will also take this film back, and he is our producer for the show. Those guys always working hard to bring you quality Richmond TV broadcasts. Leading off the 7th inning for Yale will be Weston. Aaron Weston, the center fielder. Aaron is 0-2 on the day with a pop out and a ground out. First pitch from Skoriance is a strike. Skoriance back on the mound for the 7th inning for the Blue Devils. He'll bounce that one in. so far, other than that long third inning, 6 solid innings of work for Matt Skorians. And there's that curveball we were talking about with that swing back action. Catches the inside part of the plate for strike 2.
Very tricky. It seems like he just pulls the string on it and that thing moves.
Weston gets a piece of that one. And it looked like Max Farney got a piece of it too. He's a little slow to get up. He'll shake that one off. Max, a big tough kid there behind the plate. So count is 1-2 on Weston. Swung on and popped up. Right side of the infield, Connor Margosian calling for it. Ooh, and had to make a little adjustment right there at the end. But he'll squeeze it for the first out of the inning. Looks like we've got a pinch hitter for the Bulldogs. Be number 6, Mr. Thorner. Fancy that, another right-handed batter. Thorner batting for Smesnik here in the 7th. Looks at a fastball for strike 1. Skorians working from the windup. Strike 2 right at the knees. Oh, 2 pitch misses outside, brings the count to 1-2 on Thorner. One out here in the top of the 7th inning. Misses high, evens the count at 2-2. And curveball misses low and away. Thorner now has himself a full count. And swung on and grounded in the gap between first base and second. Cinda will scoop that one up and send it into the infield. So the pinch hitter drives one into the gap for a single. And the Bulldogs are on the base paths with 1 out. And we've got another pinch hitter for the Bulldogs. Number 19, Swolfer. Batting for Carolden, the pitcher. So Yale trying to spark some offense here in the 7th inning, brings up 2 consecutive pinch hitters. Trailing by 3. First pitch from Skorians bounces in for ball 1. Yale trailing 6-3 in today's ball game. Down to their last 2 outs if they don't scrape across 3. Skorians works from the stretch. Swung on and grounded to Skorians. He'll think about throwing it to second, but make the safe play to first. And now there are 2 Bulldogs down here in the top of the 7th. We're back to the top of the order for Yale now. Their second baseman, Craig, will dig in for his 4th at-bat. He is 2 for 3 on the day with an RBI single and a double. very aggressive lead down there at second base as first pitch is high for ball 1. The Bulldogs desperate for a run here in the top of the 7th. Runner goes. Throw down to Nettles is off the mark. So now the Bulldogs have a little bit of life here. With 2 outs, they've got a runner on third and their leadoff hitter at the plate. Pitch is swung on and drove out to right field, where Austin Cinda will field it on a hop, and the runner comes around to score. So now the score is 6-4 in favor of the Blue Devils. As Donnellan digs in for Yale. He represents the tying run in today's ball game. 2 outs here in the top of the 7th. First pitch from Skoriance is low and inside. Quick throw over to first base. Gets the runner back. You think the Devils are looking for an out any way they can here, whether it's picking off that runner or getting this batter out. Donnellan drive to center, and it'll be scooped up by the Blue Devils. And that will end today's ball game as the Blue Devils claim a 6-4 victory over the Yale Bulldogs. That improves Richmond's record to 8-2 overall and 5-0 in the league, undefeated in the league. Great start for Scott Evans and his Blue Devils, Pierce.
You gotta say it here, Pierce.
So, for Richmond TV, I'm Preston Trend, and I was happy to have Pierce Trend in with me for some color commentary. Again, you can view all Richmond TV broadcasts on Comcast Channel 12 on Tuesdays at 8 p.m., Fridays at 5 p.m. and 9 p.m., Saturdays at 5 p.m., and Sundays at 7 p.m. You can also go to Richmond TV 12 on YouTube, hit subscribe, and you can instantly watch your Richmond TV programming. So for all our crew at Richmond TV, I'm Preston Trent saying thank you for watching today's broadcast and have a great day.